Hey everyone, and welcome to Crash Course. Today's topic, the Mexican-American War, a conflict that permanently reshaped North America. Okay, so how this whole thing started. After gaining independence from Spain in 1821, Mexico controlled enormous territory, including present-day California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Meanwhile, the U.S. was guided by something called manifest destiny, the belief that Americans were destined, or at least very determined, to expand west. There was one big problem: Texas. American settlers had moved into Mexican Texas, rebelled in 1836, and created the Republic of Texas. Mexico never recognized that independence, but the U.S. definitely did, and in 1845, the U.S. officially annexed Texas. Suddenly, the two countries argued over where the border actually was. U.S. claimed Rio Grande, Mexico claimed Nueces River. Basically, two countries, two maps, zero agreement. President James K. Polk also really wanted California for U.S. trade and expansion, so tension increased until it wasn't tension anymore, it was war.
The war, what actually happened? In April 1846, U.S. and American troops skirmished in the disputed area between the two rivers. Polk declared that American blood had been shed on American soil, and Congress approved the war. The war had a few key campaigns that helped bring it to its eventual end, one being Zachary Taylor's invasion into northern Mexico. Taylor's forces won several battles, including Palo Alto, Resaca de la Palma, and major victory in Buena Vista. Taylor became a national hero so much to where he eventually became president. Secondly, the California campaign. American settlers in California launched a brief bear flag revolt, raising a homemade flag and declaring independence from Mexico. U.S. and naval forces soon arrived and California came under American control. Number 3, Winfield Scott's Central Mexico campaign. General Winfield Scott carried out the first large-scale amphibious landing in U.S. history at Veracruz, then marched inwards towards Mexico City. By September 1847, U.S. forces captured the capital, effectively ending the war.
Okay, so now to talk about the main figures and why they mattered. James K. Polk was the U.S. president. He was energetic, expansion-focused, and very committed to acquiring the Southwest. General Zachary Taylor, his battlefield success made him extremely popular, enough to win the 1848 elections. General Winfield Scott, his Mexico City campaign was one of the most strategically impressive in U.S. military history. Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna returned from exile to lead Mexico again, charismatic and experienced, but ultimately unable to stop the American advance.
Lastly, we'll talk about the effects and why this war still matters. The immediate consequences included the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, which ended the war. Mexico was forced to give up massive...
And you know what else is massive?
portions of its territory, known as the Mexican Cession. This included California, Nevada, Utah, most of Arizona and New Mexico, and parts of Colorado and Wyoming. The U.S. paid Mexico $15 million, which, considering the size of the land taken, was not exactly a fair deal. The long-term consequences consisted of the shift of North American power as the U.S. became the continental power with access to the Pacific. Slavery debate explodes, with every new territory raised the question, free state or slave state. This tension directly fueled the road to the Civil War. Mexico also weakened politically as the defeat contributed to decades of internal instability. And lastly, the border forever changed. The modern U.S. and Mexico border is largely shaped by its conflict. The war also sets the stage for modern U.S. and Mexico relations, sometimes cooperative, sometimes intense, but always shaped by this moment. So the Mexican-American War wasn't just a border dispute, it was a major turning point in the North American history. It reshaped countries, ignited political battles, and set the stage for future conflicts.
Thanks for watching Crash Course.